Hi there, my name is Gavin Weber, and in today's video, I'm going to talk about how to never experience fear again. Nada, no fear. So if you want to learn more about that, I'm going to go through a lot of principles, a lot of steps, and all having to do with A Course in Miracles as the solution. So join me. Okay, so if you haven't come across any of my videos, my name is Gavin Weber. This is Dissolving the Illusion. And what I'm doing is I'm sharing my experiences, what I'm going through, applying and doing my best to understand and live A Course in Miracles. And real quick, how I got into that journey is I was just tired of reading all these spiritual books and not really getting anywhere. I was tired of manifesting the things in life that I always wanted and getting those, and then still feeling like something was missing, like the acquiring of things just didn't satiate, my happiness or my appetite for that something was missing and longing for something. So I'm actually in my garage right now, and I've got this. I mean, to talk about an illusion, right? This is a fake canvas to make it look like a brick wall, white brick wall. I actually have some better sound set up today. It looks like it just kind of crept down on me. This is all like, I usually do this live, and I see that it just fell down, so I want to fix that. Why not? I'm not going to pretend that I'm something I'm not. I want to be transparent and honest. So I have, most of my life, had this facade that I don't experience fear. And so it's like, I've had the mentality and share with other people, I have it all figured out. I understand what's going on with my life, the universe, you do this, you do that. And those were all defense mechanisms to overcome, to ignore, and to really, deny that I had fear about things. And that's most people. We don't want to admit that we don't have our shit together, that we don't know how to be happy, that we don't know how to love. And when you start approaching that concept, that idea, asking yourself that question, it can be really scary, because when you go down that rabbit hole, you don't know what the hell you're going to find. And I feel like the first way to, go through and discuss how to overcome fear and to never experience it again if you don't want to, is to talk about what fear is and to take a strong look at fear, because most people have no idea that they're participating, they're feeling, they're thinking fearful thoughts. Therefore, nothing ever changes, right? They just do the same thing, have the same feelings, get the same results, and don't ever really feel any better. So I used to think fear was, a fear of public speaking, a fear of, going for a dream or a challenge that seemed really hard. Like I wasn't capable of doing it mentally or physically. I didn't have the skill set for it. And, a lot of times that would show up in my body with sweaty hands or just anxiety or nervousness. And so I looked at and attributed fear as something I don't want to do or that I'm not good at. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, right? And for what's happening for most people in fear is the real fear is understanding who they really are, understanding that they're love, and then the pain of not knowing how to come from that, how to experience that, how to feel that, how to live that, which sucks, right? And so then I'll speak for myself. What I've done my whole life is just to distract myself from that question, that concept, and understanding my fears, and just try to do all this stuff to keep myself busy and to never look at it. And with A Course in Miracles, you're going to look at your fears. And what happens when you look at your fears, they dissolve. these things that we've bought into, these beliefs have accumulated and grown and built, over the years that we've bought hook, line, and sinker. And when you take a closer look at things that are not true or not necessary to like understand in that way or to feel that way, you can dissolve them and decrease the fear and get rid of it altogether. So going even further down fear, what A Course in Miracles talks about is that, all our pain and all our guilt and our fear comes from separating from God, believing in our minds that we're no longer part of love, part of God, and that's scary as shit. And then it's like, well, I guess we're on our own and survival of the fittest, and I'm going to do what it takes to stay alive and to get ahead and to make myself feel good about myself, and all ego projections. The Course in Miracles teaches that everything we're experiencing and seeing is from the ego and is an illusion and is a projection from our fear and our guilt of how we feel about ourselves and separating from God. Now, that's a whole nother subject. I just wanted to, touch about that real quick. But what I want you to examine is, when you talk about fear, the opposite of fear and what's real is love. And you can ask yourself, how loving are you? How loving are you to yourself? How loving are you to other people? And if you feel like you're just maybe not that good, maybe okay at it, maybe getting better, and this isn't about judgment, okay, but it's just kind of taking stock of where you're at, that if you're not coming from completely from love, which is fearlessness too, then you have some fear. And we all do. We wouldn't be here in these bodies if we weren't fearful. And what's happening is we don't trust ourselves. We don't trust ourselves to know how to connect with God, how to come from love. And then we do all these egoic things to make us feel strong, to make us feel powerful, to make us feel better about ourselves, to trick ourselves into thinking we have it figured out. And I've been a pro at that. I would say I haven't been arrogant over the years, but a lot of videos I used to do were about manifesting and law of attraction and all these things that I think kind of just walked around. And there's nothing wrong with those things, by the way, but they just kind of walked around what was really missing in my life, which was coming from nothing but love. And I was scared because I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't know what it looked like to be one with God. It felt like I was losing myself. I felt like that. It felt like sacrifice. It's kind of oh man, then I'm going to be nice to people. I'm going to have to not, get upset over football games or my golf game. And, I had all these preconceived notions, which were all limiting beliefs, not true, and scary. So we're all experiencing fear at some level. So what does it look like to not experience fear? And, some of the things I'm going to say may seem obvious, but some things you might have to watch this video a few times. And by the way, if you're not a subscriber, I'd love for you to subscribe, comment, like on this video. That helps promote this. Would love that. I'm just beginning on this journey and would love your support. So when you want to experience only fear, you have to first understand that you are coming from fear a lot of times. That acknowledgement, that awareness then allows you to take some steps to kind of look at it from a higher place and take a look at your perceptions. And A Course in Miracles does a great job of explaining how what we're seeing is almost we're the director, the actor, the producer, the writer of our whole projection of this movie and story of our life. Okay. And so when you're able to kind of take that higher look and kind of watch the movie rather than be in the movie, you can start seeing what's really going on, that most of our actions, most of our decisions are trying to avoid fear. And avoiding fear is really also like that, what I talked about earlier is like not understanding how to love, not understanding how to like connect with who we really are. And that's a concept, who we really are. Like, what the hell does that mean? So, how do you do that? Course in Miracles principles. The biggest thing that they teach is forgiveness. And forgiveness, not from like that we're looking at other people as wrong or having done something bad, is that we're understanding that everything that we're seeing is a projection of our beliefs. And what we see out there is what we're thinking and what we're feeling within our mind, okay? So when we look at other people as love, when we forgive other people for what we think they're doing in general or even to us, and we look at them as love, we don't look at what they're doing as real or having anything that they can do hurt us, this is the key, then we can start coming from that freedom and come from that fearlessness, because then we're not dependent on anything out there needing to happen before we can feel good about ourselves and not be in fear. So that first step is to use forgiveness. That's and that's what A Course in Miracles teaches over and over and over throughout the whole book, is to not buy into the illusion, buy into the story that what's happening out there can ever disconnect you or separate you from God. And if you can remember that and be above the fray, I've gotten a lot better at that. It's amazing. Like, I've had things in business and my job recently that like a few years ago would have scared the shit out of me. Like, oh my gosh, I needed that deal to happen. I was going to make this amount of money. So what am I going to do now? I'm not going to be able to pay my bills. I'm not, it's around Christmas, like, oh, how's that going to affect paying taxes? All this stuff, right? Fear. And now I can absolutely just kind of look at that and I was like, well, that's interesting. That's something that is transpiring in my creation so far. That really what's happening is like, I'm not feeling abundant. I'm thinking that my happiness, my joy, my connection to God, my love is contingent upon that deal happening the way that I wanted. And I think it's causing me fear. And I think I'm absolutely justified in feeling that way. And again, if I'm feeling fear, what I've learned is something's off. Something's off. I'm not in alignment. I'm not connected to love. I'm not experiencing my oneness with God, because I know in that moment, there is nothing out there that is going to bring me the fulfillment of who I am and what's the truth from anything that I'm going to see out there. And I think if you can really sit with that and be present, and in the present moment, all is well. That would be one of the next things I would say is like, we're always thinking about the past. So things that happened to us in the past, again, an illusion, it's over, it's gone, it never actually really happened either. And then because of something that happened to us in the past, we're scared that could actually happen again. And analyze what's really happening there, that you feel like you have the ability to have something in this world hurt you, that you're limited, that you're lacking, that you're susceptible to pain and hurt. And all of those feelings, again, are part of the separation from like understanding what's really going on. All the while, the real story is we have this world, maybe little ball that is our life, that we're reacting to left and right. And we think is dictating everything. And a lot of people think, oh, God's causing all these things to happen. But what's causing it to happen is that we're disconnected from God. We think we're separated. And so this illusion, this story, this body we've created this whole circle of all this crap that goes on in here, we buy hook, line, and sinker. And what's really going on is this ball doesn't exist, and that the real world is oneness with God and love and light. Now, our minds, right away, you're like, oh, Jesus, like, okay, the theory sounds good. It sounds like I like that, Gavin. But what does that look like? I'm going to take a quick second. I want to make sure this is still filming. Okay, still filming. Sorry. But what I would say, when you start really understanding, reading Course in Miracles, doing the workbook, whenever I drive, I listen to David Hoffmeister and as many videos and people I can listen to, podcasts, to help my mind understand and to remember so that I can apply. And what I feel like a way to describe a spiritual awakening and living A Course in Miracles is that we've all heard the saying is that, we're spiritual beings having a physical experience. And that feels, there's I wouldn't say truth, because I think truth is like we're all one and only love is real. But we buy into that idea to a certain extent, okay? But we don't go all the way. And what I think happens, and what's been my experience with A Course in Miracles and getting through my fear, is that I used to be just this body that took care of itself and wanted to create these dreams that seemed magical and all these wonderful experiences of stuff and materialism and travel, and I still want to travel. But a lot of hardship and pain and disappointment came with that. Like in this, what feels like this physical reality, there's contrast. There's up, there's down, there's black, there's white, there's, poverty and richness. And just the whole spectrum, right? Part of our creation. And again, I'm learning, understanding, experiencing that that's not necessarily true. But what happens with A Course in Miracles is you start coming from more of that spiritual experience, and you're not of this world, but temporarily right now you're living in it. And it's like, how can you bridge that gap from coming from that spiritual experience, which I would say is absolute love, absolute joy, absolute light, abundance and feelings of that we could never imagine. But how do we come from that spiritual experience while still living in this physical body? And as we forgive, and as we understand that it's an illusion, and on that, most people, on the illusion part of it, I used to be one of these people. It lost me because I was like, well, if it's an illusion, then what does it all matter? And then that just makes me depressed. And this is kind of the whole point, that we're all in the process of coming back and remembering God. Right now, we could do that if we let our mind go there and just let everything else go. But for most of us, at least for me, it's a process of remembering. It's a process of dissolving the illusion. It's a process of coming back to God by letting go of that fear and letting the light in. So if you can come from that spiritual experience and remember you're that spiritual being, then again, you can just observe and watch and consciously allow the light in each situation and know that nothing can hurt you. And what's really helped me in the last year is the whole Holy Spirit thing. For a long time, I didn't get it. I liked guides, I liked angels, like the whole Jesus thing. I had some issues with the Bible, and it was hard for me to relate to, which you can probably, maybe some of you can relate to. But I've really started each of my day reading A Course in Miracles, but then meditating and praying and allowing God in, allowing the guidance of the Holy Spirit. And I do in my, like, it's weird to say, but like in my head, I have these conversations. I'm doing these videos as part of my awakening to align and to share and to experience and to get this out there to what I perceive as the world right now, as part of what's I feel called upon from the Holy Spirit. And it feels foreign, feels weird, it's a little scary. Yet as I've listened to this guidance, it has led me in directions that I know it's not up to me anymore. And this is huge. It feels scary at first, like letting go and like putting it in God's hands. And it's like, what the hell does that mean? Like, no, I've got to go do things. I've got to make it happen. It's up to me. It's up to my mindset. It's up to my work ethic. It's up to my beliefs. It's me, 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 me. And deep down, we all know like that's false and that we can create the illusion of success through hard work and stuff. And it's just another avoidance. There's nothing wrong with stuff and money and travel and materialism. But like I've said over and over in these videos, not at the cost of remembering that we're all one, that we're love, and that we're connected with God, and that we're home. And that comes back to that spiritual, if you can go through this world like Jesus did, by not seeing anything as real, by seeing everyone as love, by giving all to all, and knowing that when you're one mind with God, there's nothing of this world that you could ever lose. There's nothing in heaven. There's nothing real that could ever be given in this world that could be actually you lose it. Everything is gain when you come from God, when you join from God, when you allow the Holy Spirit into your mind and accept that guidance. It's all love. It's all real. And that, when you're able to start taking those steps, and just, for me in the beginning, it was baby steps. This feels like a huge step. Like even setting up this video and doing this in the garage today, I was like, put out some probably crappy quality videos. Doing this was like me stepping out of my comfort zone. It's going to take me some time. I don't know if it's good. Is a microphone going to work? But I'm listening, and I know quality matters to people who watch YouTube videos. I fully admit I'm still participating in the illusion. But when I've listened to that guidance, to the Holy Spirit, there's no pressure on me anymore. It's not up. I don't have to worry about anything. I'm not worried about how I'm going to pay for college. I'm not going to worry about what's going on in the future for like bills, what kind of car I'm going to drive, where I'm going to live, leases, aging, dying. Right now, I get to be the remembrance of God, that spiritual person, temporarily looking like I'm living in a body when I know that I'm absolute light, I'm absolute love. And I get to go shine that on my family, on everybody I'm in contact with, and with you on these videos or in the world. And as I do that, as I've been doing that, I remember more, bit by bit, like, wow, this is all of us. When I judge all those people of like, they didn't vote for who I voted for, how could they be so stupid? And I see them as light. I see them as love. I'm not participating in a world of fear. I'm not participating in pain and guilt. I see the innocence. For what I see in them, I see in me. And I don't need other people to be a certain way for then me to be peaceful and to feel safe. can allow what's unfolding in the world with no attachment to it, with no judgment to it, because I know all is well in heaven and in reality, in truth, in love. And A Course in Miracles is the guide, is the, comparisons, but is the best way I have found to let go of it all and to not need anything to happen, to come from that peace, to remember I'm this spiritual being that's not a body, that can absolutely bring that remembrance while I'm still here in this illusion and not have to experience fear. Nada, none. And I fully admit I still do. I've already admitted it many times in this video. But gosh, it's dissolving a lot. I don't get nearly as upset. I don't get nearly as angry. I'm not pointing fingers. I'm not yelling at the TV. My dog tore up my cushion that we put under our sheets on our bed, on our mattress, and it's just something that happened. Before it'd been like, oh, that cost $80. Oh, this, I didn't want this damn dog. Oh, Harper, why'd you do that? Mad at everybody in my family because I didn't want the dog. It's just an event that happened now. Donald Trump right now, regardless of what you think of Donald Trump, he's one of my biggest forgiveness opportunities. He's denying that he lost. And, everybody's all mad at him, or everybody's mad at the Democrats. Oh, they've stolen the election. And I'm just observing, watching it unfold, wondering, sending love as much as I can to everyone. Feels good. And you can make the choice to not experience fear whenever you want, right now. See what's really going on. Not with your eyes, but with your mind. See people as love and light. And walk the world as Jesus walked the world. That's the second coming. Not to go, prove it all over again. That the Christ mind's within all of us. And that we can let it all go. And yes, we can still be happy while we're in our bodies, but not from the same point of view of what we used to think needed to happen in this world to happen for us to be happy. We can be happy now. We can be connected to God now. We can come from that absolute knowing of oneness whenever we want. So I invite you, whenever you're experiencing anxiety or pain or loss, lack, to remember that you're in fear and that it doesn't have to be that way. And that you can shift, choose again, remember, understand, and right now, all is well. The Holy Spirit, Jesus, is willing to nudge you, remind you, guide you, whisper to you, show you whatever you ask for it. And we're all home, and we're all remembering that we are home. And there's nothing we can do to ever take that from ourselves. No amount of actions that we think are happening in this world that we feel guilty about or that we label as bad can take that from me, take that from you, and take that from any person in this world that we use as the reasoning to be separate from God. And when we reverse that, we reverse cause and effect, and we're back home in that instant, whenever we want, one with God. And then it's not magic. Then the reality occurs. Our lives start shifting. What shows up? The the feelings, the perceptions. It's different. We're not looking for it to be a certain way, but how we come about it changes. You don't have to experience fear. And as you dive in to whatever practice you want, and for me, it's A Course in Miracles, the fear dissolves, the love comes in, and it feels really good. Hope that was helpful. I don't do these videos 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and all planned out. I have the concept and I let come through what shows up in that moment. And I hope you got some nuggets today. So much love, my friend. I have committed to doing these videos once a week. Welcome to my new studio, and I'll see you again soon. Love you. Bye-bye.